Welcome to the Lending Forward podcast, brought to you by Atlantic Bay Mortgage Group. This is your home for real discussions about the mortgage and housing industry. Our hosts are here bringing you firsthand accounts from people at the heart of the business. And we're chatting with professionals from all corners of the industry as they help cultivate transparency around the future of the industry we love. Together, we are lending forward all we know to you. Thanks for joining us for today's episode. Let's dive in.
We're back. Happy New Year. New year, new season, new podcast. Literally.
Yeah, very, very cool.
No, we're super excited to have you guys. We are excited to celebrate our 30th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
What do you guys say? Birthday, anniversary?
Both, but
I would say it's anniversary, but we could go either way.
yeah.
Did you
30
keep your
years.
first dollar? I mean, that's a big thing.
That
Some
is a
people
good
have
question.
the first dollar that they made. Do you have any memorabilia at home?
That's a good question. I don't know where we're getting cash back then.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago. We weren't getting
We got
cash.
cash.
So we got
even all the crazy stuff we did back then when it was a broker time and you like split the commission 50-50 and it was kind of Wild Westy. You still didn't like have cash floating around the office, so we never went that far Wild West.
I do remember the checks. Getting the checks. I get a stack of checks with a closing package. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can pay rent.
There you go. Nice. I'm going off script already. Go ahead.
No, I love it because I want to start there. I want to start from the beginning. And so I want you guys to take us back to the very, very beginning. What sparked wanting to start Atlantic Bay?
Well, the very beginning was Brian's intro into the mortgage business, which I don't know how much you told that story. I know you talk about meeting Jennifer at Red Lobster and working at Red Lobster, but how much you talk about your first day at Citizens when they plopped the phone book on your desk and said, "Start calling. Good luck."
Yes, I usually talk about that onboarding. I'm at Red Lobster one day, waiting tables, and I'd been there for a couple years probably, and I just graduated in May. This was May of '93, and tried to get a few jobs.
Mhm.
The closest one I was to getting was the assistant branch manager of First Virginia Bank, and it came with a whopping $18,000 a year salary. So that was pretty awesome.
Mm.
Benefits. And
And
benefits.
yeah. Really good.
And off bank holidays, the whole deal. So I didn't get the job, and a few weeks later, I was at Red Lobster, and one of the managers, Dave Cobb, called and said, "Hey, I need to talk to Brian." One picked up the phone and said, "What's up, Dave?" And he said, "Well, you can't tell anyone, but I'm trying to get out of the restaurant business," because they tried to get me to be a manager at Red Lobster too, because I was a really good server.
He was really good with money. He was really good at anything business associated. And growing up, like he would always be the one who had like an extra $5 or $10 in his pocket somehow when no other kids had money, and he would lend it to you at a particular interest rate. I'm just kidding. He would let you borrow some, and then as long as you hit him back.
I should have done that.
Yeah.
Stan, you got to pull out the picture of. I'm sure you probably had like the lemonade stand that he started figuring out how to like large batch it,
Right, yeah.
and distribute it through the
Exactly.
neighborhood.
Yeah. He wanted his cut, but I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So anyway, I said, "Why are you calling?" He said, "I'm getting out of the restaurant business, getting the mortgage business, and I think you would be great." And I said, "This is all 100% accurate story. Some of them may have a little fluff. This is 100%." And I said, "What? I don't even know what a mortgage is." He said, "We just got a degree in finance." I said, "I remember them talking about it. I remember an appraisal class." He said, "I think you'd be great." So I went in and met with the guy. His name was Jim. I walked in and there's boxes all over this fly-by-night looking office place, no sign on the door. And he really didn't want to have anything to do with me. And then the manager said, "Hey, you really need to hire this guy." And so I finally said, "Okay." And it was just, I didn't get any paid, right? I came in and I said, "All right, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to train." And he handed me a blue cross-reference directory, which looks like a phone book, but it had a person's name, people's names, address, and phone numbers, which is kind of weird now to think that someone would get a book and have your name, address, phone number, right?
Mhm.
But they did. And okay, so tell me about mortgages. He said, "No, just call people and ask them if they want to refinance. And if they say yes, come find me. And then read this manual." I know. Sounds like fun. That sounds like fun. So started calling people, call, and I'd wait tables at night. Then if I was calling at night, I'd get Jennifer to pick up my shifts. And then finally someone said, "Yes, I want to refinance my loan. I said, really?
You said, oh crap.
Yeah.
He was an audiologist, and I remember he made well over $100,000 a year, and I was, wow, this is.
He was rich back then.
Yeah, super wealthy.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, why don't you have someone that you know that can help you with this instead of some kid that's calling you on the phone? Well, he came in, I did his application. I remember I did a 7 1/4, 0 and 0, and paid his closing costs. That was a $280,000 loan, which was huge.
Mhm.
at the time.
Yeah.
That was kind of the start. And then my buddy who'd gotten the bank job was not so happy that I made 3 times what he did in the first year doing mortgages. And I just loved it because the harder you work, the more money you made. That's why I loved. That's why I think this business is great. That's why I've had so many people become successful in this business, because the harder they work, the more money they make. And that was why I like waiting tables, because I would say, all right, close everyone else down. I'll take all the tables and I'm running around making all the, because I did have, it was cash then. So it was,
You made a few
good
dollars
cash.
on the golf course too on the weekend.
Made some money
Oh,
on
so
the
you're
golf
hustling
course.
people on the golf
Yeah.
course
I
at the
was
same time.
during college. I would hustle. I mean, I wasn't really hustling. They knew what they were getting to, but they'd work at the Union Camp factory in Franklin, and they would work the night shift. They get up at 7 a.m. They come to the golf course. We'd play golf. Then I'd go to class. Then I would go to Red Lobster. So it was a lot. But it was
When I was a kid
fun.
playing golf, I tried to hustle for my lunch. So butcher would give me, my dad would give me 50 cents or $1 to play 18 holes. And then my lunch money was on me to gamble with the other kids that were the same age to be able to make enough money to buy lunch at the golf course. Otherwise, I would just be hungry till he came to pick me up at like 6 or 7 that night. So it was a little bit more on the line for me. It's like Lisa Pino says, when
That's it.
when you're putting with 50 cents in your pocket for $1, it's a big putt.
You gotta have something to trade for at the school lunch table,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
exactly.
You're probably
I
that good.
started with nothing. I had to work my way up
Nice.
The real question is, how many days did you eat lunch?
almost every day. Yeah.
Solid.
Yeah.
There you go. Good deal.
I
That's
wasn't going
I wasn't back then, especially. I was not going hungry in any way, shape, or form. Yeah.
He was a thick little fella.
Yeah. There's nothing little about the fellow. But I was thick. Yeah.
I was balancing out.
That's
no,
it.
that was fun.
A lot's changed during those
Yeah.
times, right?
Yeah. Up and down, but
So anyway, I went to this. It was a company called Citizens. I went there, and I was there started in August of '93, and Jennifer, my wife, picked up more and more shifts, and I was working at night, working during the day. I didn't get my first paycheck until December of '93, so it took 4 months to get my first paycheck. But I think my first paycheck was $12,700. I was like, this is fun.
Sounds
great.
good.
I know.
Did you save
I
it?
worked really hard.
waiting tables.
I
Pinned it
didn't
on the
save
wall?
it because I didn't know it was a big deal. But and then in January, I was assistant branch manager, and still didn't know what I was doing. We only did conventional loans, and we did VA refinances. That was it. And then I was there for about 3 years, and then went to my manager and said, "Hey, this is what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to leave. This is my pipeline. I'm leaving here. I don't want to mess with this. I'm going to start here on this date and move forward."
That's really key for people who do leave a mortgage company, whether it's here or somewhere else or wherever you're leaving. Don't try to take your deals with you. Like he even did this. We're talking about back in 1995 or something,
96.
96. It's not a good idea. But anyway, even back then he was doing the right thing, which I'm proud of.
I feel like you've always been trying to keep him out of trouble.
I hear you.
It's a balancing game.
Pretty.
Yeah.
Too much trouble.
Yeah.
So anyway, I
Thank
was
you
there,
for that.
and really the reason, which is what we talk about a lot, was just the culture.
Mhm.
I just didn't feel the culture. Just kind of more, high-fiving when you got, charge someone too much, in some
Mhm.
cases. So,
Like imagine
That was really-
the pump and dump stock type people, in
Right.
movies that you see where it makes you kind of sick to your stomach.
Yeah.
It's not quite that, but it wasn't that far from it in the broker world back then, in a lot of places.
yeah, but it was
Fannie
all,
Mae was different.
and it was all good people. I just felt like we could do it a little differently. We could be, more based in how to grow and what we want to do with our core values. So that's what's kind of driven us from there. So I found a little office just down the road, beside a waffle shop. And I convinced the guy to rent it to me, who was a huge real estate owner here at the time. And I did a one-year deal. And then we went and hired a couple telemarketers, and we called, they called. The deal was you got a desk and a chair once you close your first loan.
Yeah, you didn't get a desk till you closed your first loan. You didn't get a chair till you closed, like, I don't remember how many, was it a number of loans or an amount of money, fee income?
I don't know. I thought
It was
they
a good
got
amount
both,
before
but
you got
maybe,
your
maybe
first
it wasn't a
share.
package.
Yeah.
Maybe it was different.
And then the one of the funniest parts is, like, we were managing telemarketing, and Brian would sit down and go over every single lead that had come from telemarketing with every single mortgage banker in the company. And then Brian was doing training classes, and I still remember I was laying on the couch outside because there was like a waiting room couch, and I was just like sitting there waiting for Brian to be done for the day. I was super young, and he was teaching Randy
13
DeMille and
maybe?
Robbie DePrinsky's classes.
Were you 13?
13. Yeah,
What
13,
is the age difference?
11 years.
11 years, okay.
But when you opened the doors, did y'all open the doors together?
No, he was 13.
Oh, this was when we opened
I was
the doors.
I was like
13.
helping. I would help him with an occasional question, or like if we worked on Excel projects or things like that. And then I got hired to start doing payroll in 1999, and so I was doing payroll on a spreadsheet. I came up with like a better way to do payroll than what we were doing before, and it worked really well.
Telemarketing, right? Were you doing telemarketing then too? Or?
Yep, did telemarketing for 6 months to a year. Got a lot of leads. Did pretty well with telemarketing. We had a pretty generous bonus structure back then. That was with B and Donna. For those of you who've been around for a very long time, you'll remember B and Donna. They were quite the team. But yeah, telemarketing was always a big part of our business for the first couple of years. Really was a big deal. Telemarketing, and then there's another funny story. How we got our name is one of the questions that we were going to talk about. And that's another way we got our business. Do you want to talk about that? Because I think that's a funny story. Most of the people watching, like probably at least a quarter of the people watching or hearing this will not know what we're talking about in terms of why we did this. But
Yeah, so just to backtrack a little bit, so Red Lobster, fell into the mortgage business. I met my lovely bride there, which you know, heard the story. So the day before we met, she went to a psychic. The psychic told her she was going to meet the man of her dreams by a body of water. And then the next day she met me about a lobster tank. So that was a body of water.
No
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
You did not
Yeah.
tell that story in my
I
class.
did.
I don't think so.
100% did. And then you just didn't pay attention.
Yeah.
You didn't know how good it was going to be. And then she also told us that we were going to have 3 kids.
Oh my gosh.
And as many of you know, we've got a 20, 25, 22, and 12-year-old.
So if you call the number on the screen right now,
Here's the psychic.
That's it.
I think she's probably a goner at this point because that was a while ago.
Yeah.
So that was, we met in 1992. So
Wow.
that was 33, 34 years ago. So anyway, so, you know, we met, we were together been together for a long time, she's amazing. But that brings us to naming. We were trying to come up with a name in the A's because the way that the previous company, Citizens, did really well with the Yellow Pages. Yellow Pages was a big deal then, and some of you younger people who have never seen a Yellow Page book, it was quite the thing.
Yeah.
So
that was Google before Google was Google.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we're driving across the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel to go to Atlantic City for the weekend. She said, because I was the numbers that some of the things that we were thinking about were accelerated mortgage. What's the other one? There's another A that I can't recall what it was, but they weren't that great. And she said, how about Atlantic Bay? Because we're driving across Chesapeake Bay and there's Atlantic Ocean.
Mhm.
I was like, oh, that's a good name. So it allowed us to get in the A's, so we're in the beginning of the phone book. And it was cool and it was relevant. And so, you know, we saw the seagulls flying.
I was going
Yeah,
to ask,
see-
this is how
across
the
the
seagull
Chesapeake.
come about.
Pterodactyls, not
The
the
Chesapeake
seagulls, they're
Bay,
The
pterodactyls.
old
and,
merchandise.
hired someone and they made the logo for $200 and
I love the old
we
logo.
were off to the races. It's old school.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It's old school.
So the whole thing was built driving to Atlantic City.
Well, it
saw
wasn't
this-
built then, but the name,
The logo
and the
brand.
established
Yeah.
the logo
That's
and
what
all
I
that
think
came
about.
about driving to Atlantic City. I don't remember how we did in Atlantic City, but we did well. So yeah, she's been involved and she doesn't often take credit, but occasionally.
Now, I've
That's
heard the
really
Red Lobster story a number of times, but I always
Okay,
meant to
go
ask
on.
you because of the timing. Were you all married before you started the company or shortly thereafter?
Well, so interestingly, we met, and our first date was a Riddick Bowe Holyfield fight.
Oh, that was a great
on
fight.
November 13th, 1992. So we went to a guy's house
Yeah.
at the Red Lobster. We watched the fight. We smooched a little bit. We won't get too much detail. But then the next night we went out and saw the Mighty Ducks. Was our first real date. But so that was 92. And then, leaving the company I was with was not an easy decision financially, because I was 24 years old and I was making six figures, well into the six figures. And do you do that and go, do your own thing when you're doing pretty well? And fortunately we did. But so she was involved in that. So we started at Landing Bay, bought a new house, and got married all in a 6-month period.
Wow.
So it was all kind of there
Yeah, I
together
didn't know that.
in 96, early 97.
That's
So-
crazy.
I was so young that I was the only sober person at his wedding. And so when we went back to the house on Bray Road for your, it was quite an interesting reception, let's just say that. But Brian even danced at the end, which he doesn't normally dance that much, but he was dancing with the.
Well, that was pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, you had a couple. I can't believe nobody fell in your pool that day. We kept putting money on the odds that somebody would fall in the pool after they were drunk. But yeah, it was a great wedding. A lot of good friends. Brian had a lot of fun. Definitely enjoyed himself, I would say, in your 20s and
That's awesome.
early 30s.
So no off script, but on that as well, when you think about, just the timing of that, because I didn't know that story, but when you think of the story leading up to it, 96, and then 30 years later, we're here. Some of the companies you mentioned aren't even, around anymore. The Red Lobster story, sooner or later, people aren't going to know the restaurant you're even talking about. All the life that's happened, you didn't, neither of you had your kids during that whole time either. So when you look at that span of time, is there a thought or a memory that you kind of like step back and like, wow, I can't believe like we've lasted this long and outlasted these companies and our lives have changed so much different. Is there anything that really sticks with you?
Good question.
I think there's a lot that sticks with me. I would have never, I would have not thought that we would be where we are. I think it's incredible, and it's all due to the great people that we've been able to surround ourselves with. But there's so many things and stories and good fortune that's happened to us that could have gone a different way.
Yeah.
The financial collapse. We had one warehouse line, and it was iffy. And I remember being in New York at the secondary conference, and there was a gentleman who we still do business with named his name's Glenn Hetty, and he was sitting down because he had opened a new warehouse bank because the warehouse banks were just crumbling. 90% of the warehouse money was gone. I think there was the number was somewhere around $3 billion in total warehouse facilities for the country, and it went to $300 million.
Wow.
In just a couple weeks. So Glenn is sitting there, and he has every 15 minutes he has clients for 2 days, and basically you walk in and you try and pitch him on why they should fund your warehouse line. And I did, and he did, and then our other warehouse line shortly after went away. So we would have had no warehouse line, which would have ended the business. So now we have 6 warehouse lines because we don't want to be in that position and tons of capacity. But at the time, that wasn't something you did.
Right,
you had a
right.
relationship because banks weren't going to go anywhere. It wasn't, and that business had been long term. So there's a lot of things like that happened. And he's a wise mortgage guy, and one of the things, and I've said this many times, people heard me say this, but something I'll never forget him telling me is volume is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is king. So that's a mantra you need to live by, especially in the mortgage business, because people get excited about how much volume they do, and if they're not, even if they're making money but they don't have the cash flow, then they don't have a real business. So there's lots and lots of things that we have done, and lots of different memories. Us moving from that first little office to a bigger office. So we went from 1,200 square feet to about 6,500 square
Right.
feet after 12 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll never forget. That move was a pretty big one. And then the next big move was opening up a bigger operations center over off of South Plaza Trail. And in that move, like when we walked in the office, we were just like, holy cow, this is so much space. Like, could we ever really fill this
Right.
space? And we filled the whole building before we left, but
Super
Yeah.
crappy building.
yeah, it wasn't
Sorry.
a great building.
So the funny story with that is the guy that hired me, the initial manager that didn't really want to hire me, he owned this building on South Plaza Trail, and I rented it from him because we got a really good deal on
Yeah.
it. But it was a really crappy. The only good thing was the 7-Eleven next door.
Yeah,
So
but the 7-Eleven next door became very successful after we got there.
Crushed it.
Alex would eat there every day.
Because we probably had 120 people squeezed in
Easily.
that building.
Yeah.
easily.
So 7-Eleven was killing it.
But that's one of the big things, I think, if you look at our history, is we've always tried to be intelligent about what we're doing. Even now, we both live pretty nice lifestyles overall and do mostly, what we want to do, which is great in terms of not having to worry about as many things as we did when we were younger. But, we're still very focused on, the core fundamentals of the business, what's happening, making sure that the business has what it needs. You never can lose sight of the things that sort of make a business tick or the things that make, your organization tick, whether that's our values and the way that we operate or, the financial components of how we operate. Like everything's got to be working well together. And it's not easy. If it was easy, there'd be a heck of a lot more
Right.
people to do it. But it's really not. And our team makes it easier for sure. But even now, it's still not easy. There's still things changing all the time. The market's always throwing us a curveball. So anyway, the values keep you grounded and keep you focused on what matters, which is the core part that matters the most.
Yeah, it's really
Can-
fantastic when you think of how many companies in that span of time, aren't still here. So I'm sure that you both have those kind of quiet, humble, proud moments where you're like, yeah, it's, we did this and we built it with a lot of great people around you. But that's pretty incredible. So kudos to you all leading us that way.
I think a lot
Congratulations,
of
by the way.
There you go.
Well, and one thing we're talking about companies, dwindling, but people that you started this business with are still here,
Yeah.
which I think is really cool. So talk a little bit about like who
It was the
started
Fab
with you?
Five,
Like,
right? When you
Who
started.
was it? And there's who's still here, and where
Yeah.
did you find them?
So on the way in here, I stopped and talked to Alex, who was
Mhm.
one of the originals, and Bob Deneen was one of the originals. I don't remember the timing exactly. I think Alex was probably the first non-me employee because I was an employee because I was generating loans because that was the only no one else knew what they were doing. I mean, no one else knew anything about mortgages. So I was putting the desk together and taking the trash out and doing all of it, mostly originating. But Alex and Bob and Butch, our dad, who's retired now.
Randy and Robbie were definitely early.
Randy was
originators.
in the first training class.
George got.
Randy and George were there in the very beginning, and then after that came like Joe Kersey and Robbie Dobrinsky and those guys. So we would do training classes, and we couldn't hire experienced people because no one had ever heard of us. They didn't know who we were. And one key thing that really helped us is I had this crazy passion about us being voted best of the beach.
Yeah.
Because which really is people voting on, I don't know, it was back then, it was newspapers, and you would actually pull a sheet out of the newspaper, you check off the boxes of who you want to do it, you'd mail it in. But that gave us some credibility when no one had heard of us, and then we won again and again and again and again, and then finally won 10 years in a row. And so we really promoted that and branded ourselves based on that. And that was a huge, I think at the end of the day, it was a huge branding moment for us when we did that. And we'd bring in people, we'd train them, we'd have a few week training class for a new group, and then we'd let them go, and they were on commission, and we had people that would leave, lots of other good careers to come and join them. So it's been amazing.
That's really cool.
Does
I
that
mean,
group
especially in a world where like loyalty is just non-existent.
Yeah.
We've got people that are loyal for 30 years.
Yeah.
do the OGs have do they have like a secret ring or shirt or anything like everyone else doesn't have? Or?
I don't think you should be saying that stuff.
They'll never tell.
We're going to have to figure out something now.
Yeah.
No, I mean, honestly, I think we try and Stan's done a great job of this when he was running ops, is really have a meritocracy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's great that people have been here and been loyal, but, if you've been here for 6 months or a year and you're doing an awesome job, we
Right.
wanted to give you, just as much as a person that maybe's been here forever but not doing quite as good a job. So I think that's important. It's very easy to have a meritocracy in the sales side because the numbers are the numbers.
Yep.
But I think where and I've said this a lot, we've kind of made a team sport out of an individual sport because when you have people like Jenny Phillips, who's a huge producer, and she's always trying to share what she's doing and give back, and there's so many like that. But for a long time, she's been one of our top producers, and she's always ready to help someone or give back or share. And a lot of companies are not like that.
Yeah, they're not. I mean,
I don't want you to hear my secrets because you're my competition.
Yeah.
And I think we've really fostered a good environment from that perspective. And I think we're both very loyal people, so we appreciate the loyalty that we've had from others, and we've tried to give that back to our people on our team. So I think it's also, we've always both been, no one works for me. Everyone that's here works with me. It's not it kind of makes me cringe a little bit when people say I have 200 people working for me.
Yeah.
It's just not. They're not really working for you. They're working for themselves.
Right.
To feed their family and get a better career, but they're working with you. So little things like that I think are important, and those little things end up becoming big things.
Definitely.
30 years later.
Yeah.
So.
Well, let's talk about the little things, because I think you guys do a phenomenal job. I think it starts at the core values, which you guys have touched on a little bit, but there's so many employee parties and Friday morning meeting and employee appreciation week. And, there's just so many ways that you make all of us feel special. I mean, where did those ideas come from, and how have you kept them going? Because the culture here is very different.
Yeah.
And it's hard to articulate sometimes.
I'd say one of the big things is we're willing to experiment and try new things and see how things go. It may not feel that way, because we've been having, Friday morning meetings for like 20 plus years. So at this point, people are like, this is not a new thing. When we did it, people thought I was crazy. They're like, you're going to tell everyone the numbers for the company? Like, you're going to tell everyone how much volume we're doing? You're going to tell them, how many? And it's like, well, they know they're doing the volume. What do you mean they're not going to know what we're talking about? Or, you're going to waste a whole hour of productivity in this type of meeting or that, or you're going to waste people's productivity when, we can do Employee Appreciation Week, Employee Appreciation Month at one point. And I mean, it's just people, you have to be willing to kind of step out there and do things. And that's one of the things I think that Atlantic Bay, I'm the most proud of as a company, is that we are always willing to try something and to see how well it can go, and to put ourselves out there and say, hey, nobody else is doing this. Other people are telling us we're stupid and crazy, but it feels like the right thing to do. It seems like the right thing to do, so we're going to do it anyway. And if there are consequences for it, we'll bear those consequences. But when it comes to all the different little things that we do, a lot of those ideas start with employees who have great ideas. Like Employee Appreciation Week was an idea that an employee that's no longer with us came to me and brought up over South Plaza Trail. Like, we should really do that. And I was like, that's a great idea. And then we took it, 10 times further than what she had suggested. But anyway, things like that happen all the time. And that's one of the things that I think is also important for us to remember. The best ideas always come from the people who are closest to the front lines of what we're doing. So whatever we're talking about, almost always the people who do the work of closing, funding, processing, underwriting, sales, fill in the blank of whatever it is, they're going to know best how to do that. They know way better than me, sitting in some chair in a bubble in some office where, nobody wants to tell me bad news and nobody wants to tell me the truth. And so I'm much more likely to listen to those people who are on the front lines than I am, people who are in the middle levels between us, if that makes sense. So that's been one of the key things that we've stuck to and has really helped us, continue to keep people together, keep our culture together, make good decisions when a lot of other people didn't, is by listening to people who are, on the front lines of doing what we do.
Well, you're definitely getting, there's through the whole process, you're getting a lot of things right. And I think, like you said before, Stan, about kind of that being, the mantra that everybody in leadership, kind of works under. Because if you look at it, every company is going to lose some people. Hannah mentioned before that loyalty piece. And we've had people that over that 30 years have, that have left at times. But I think the thing that's always impressed me is the number that we see of how many people come back. So there must be that, at times people feel like, all right, I need to experience this, or the grass is greener, and they find out that it's not. And I'm sure that that's something that you all see as well around the culture that's been built, that, people come back to it.
Yeah. And they come back to the people. Like, that's one thing that, Brian and I are part of it, and we help, and the five and the ELT group help. But what really matters is the people that you work with every day and that you work around every day. Like, you guys are the ones that make it all work, make it happen, and make this an attractive place to work. And people want to come back because they miss their friends. They miss the people that they, are standing shoulder to shoulder with when that is a difficult day. They miss the people that, that encourage them when they're having a rough day. And obviously, Brian and I can't do that for everybody, and neither can ELT. Or SLT. So it's important that that we maintain that, where everybody, is contributing to that outcome that you're talking about. Everybody's contributing to the workplace. That's a great place to be, a great place to work, a place that I want to be. I want to be here. I want to be around people. I want to be talking to people that work here. I mean, we got a lot of really cool people. You know what I mean? Like, it's a good. Anyway. If I didn't want to work here, I didn't want to be around the people, then that would be a good indication to me that I got the wrong people. You know what I mean? But it's the opposite.
Right.
I mean, I love coming in and talking to people. So, and working with the different people that we've got.
Yeah. I don't know who came up with the coin thing, but the coins I think were gone before you got here, Hannah. But Brian and Stan, I interviewed with both of them, and Stan, I don't know if you remember this, but I was leaving a job that I was comfortable in, but not happy in. And we met a couple times, and then
I remember meeting we at Panera the first time.
Yeah. And then we met here at the office, and Stan's like, "All right, I think we're at decision time." He's like, "What do you want to do?" But on my first day when I got home, my wife's like, "Well, how'd it go?" And I'm like, "They give you these coins that you can use in the vending machines." And she's like, "Really? That's your big thing?" Like, somebody had to think of that. That. Let's remove that issue for someone. I guess there wasn't a 7-Eleven next to the building, so if somebody wants a snack, let's remove that hurdle. Let them go get a snack. And
and then I made him put healthy stuff in the machine. No one wanted them anyway. We got rid of them.
I've heard those complaints
Right.
from Alex. Tell me about it.
Alex eats anything in that machine. Don't let him pull you.
Not right now.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, anything that we can do to help remove the obstacles for people was always a focus. And some of the stuff we did didn't work, and some of it was really stupid, and some of it was great.
And you
worked really
tried
well.
it. Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. If you don't try, you never know.
Right. There was one thing that kind of been sticking in my mind as we've been talking. So Stan, you were saying before about if it was easy, like anybody would, do it, and there's a lot of work that goes into it. So, you are both very engaged owners and leaders. Right now, when you're still in this game 30 years, like when you wake up in the morning, like what gets you excited about what we're doing and the people that are all involved here in Atlantic Bay in the mortgage industry?
Well,
You wanna go first?
I'm happy to go first. I mean, I would say two things for me. I think it's different for both of us. We've got about over 650 people on our team. So that's kind of 650 families that are counting on, us in some way to support their families. So that's huge for me. And I'm not shy about telling people when I first got in this business, when I was a citizen, I wasn't money motivated. I wanted to make as much money as I could because I didn't have any of it. And so busting my butt just because I was chasing money, and that was the important thing to me. Well, as you grow up, as you have kids, and life changes. Now it's more for me about supporting all the organizations that we support, and I think that's kind of really what's driving me there. Our team and continuing to see their success, and then the charities that we were involved in. And I mean, the great part is there's a lot of different sales businesses where you can make money, but not as many are as rewarding. Our dad sold life insurance forever before he started doing this. And it's important for the right people, but it's not that exciting or rewarding or something you want to talk about, right? Versus someone getting their first home. And, to think about, on average, we put 1,000 families into a new home every month. It's pretty crazy when you think about that impact, how much the impact that has on each individual or each family. It's really cool. And some people do way more than that, and that's great for them. But that number just, always just reminds me of kind of the work that we're doing and our team's doing. So.
Yeah, for me, it's pretty similar. I mean, the things I would add to it would be, for me, it's one of the biggest things that I am continue to get excited about is the fact that we still have people who are engaged. We still have people who are interested. We still have people who, like working here and like their job. I mean, I always used to say in interviews with people, if work sucks, then life sucks, because work is a big part of life, and you spend a lot of time at work, and it has a huge impact on your family life, on your kids' lives, on your, spouse or whoever, whatever people are in your life. It has a huge impact on them, and it has a huge impact on you. So, I've worked at jobs that really suck with bosses that really are horrible. And so, it motivates me still now today to think, okay, let's continue to give this environment where people can not only make a living and be able to support their families, but that they also enjoy coming into work. They enjoy what they do. They get a chance to do what they're best at. Because that's one of the things that drives me crazy is wasted talent. There's so much wasted talent in the world where people just are not given the opportunity to do things that they could do amazingly well. But being able to give them opportunity and still allowing them, again, serving their families where they can make sure that they support them, but also enjoy what they do is just, it's such an important part. And we see that, through surveys to some extent, which, surveys are surveys, but we also see that just in talking to people, that they still enjoy working here. They still enjoy what they do. They look forward to it. And I used to hate to get the Monday blues, and a lot of us probably still get occasional Monday blues where we're like, oh man, I'm a little tired, or, I had a long weekend or whatever. But still, most people that work here are more excited to come here than not. And to me, that's a huge, huge win for us and for the company. Productive people are happy people. Happy people are productive people. Happy people are going to make the best environment for everyone around us. Happy people are going to be the best testimonials to our clients. Happy people are going to be the best people for their teammates and keep their teammates engaged and the salespeople engaged. So there's a lot of business reasons, but there's way more personal reasons as to why it matters so much for us to have happy people.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think you guys have done a really nice job making it more than just mortgages. So, with Atlantic Bay, there's a huge community aspect. And you mentioned, charities, and I'm assuming you're talking about Roc Solid, which I want you to talk about. But, why or how was community such a central part of the mission? And how did you keep it a central part of the mission through 30 years?
Well, it really started with MS, right? I mean, that was one of our first major focuses. Yeah.
Yeah, and Brian Mason, who's still a partner to this day, which a lot of people don't know him as well. He's been kind of out of the day-to-day stuff for a number of years. Was diagnosed with MS, and just a great guy, and he continues to battle it and doing well. But that kind of got us involved in MS. I was on the board for MS for a while, and I think that was the first board I was on. I think it's important for companies to give back, and if you can specifically give back to the communities that you live in, I think that's extra special. And you always have to decide where you there's so many places to give, and
there's way more need than there is, ability to meet the need,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what you're talking about. So you have to really prioritize what needs you're going to meet.
Well, I think you have to decide as an organization or as a family. I mean, my family, for example, has decided that we want to focus on kids, and so virtually everything that we do is for kids, and we get asked for a lot of other stuff, and we say, hey, we'd love to do that, but we're really focused on this, and this for kids because they can't help themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important to narrow down, and we've kind of here narrowed down for the most part on Roc Solid these days. And Boys and Girls Club, which again, both helping kids that need it and can't do it for themselves. Roc Solid was introduced to me from Emily, who's currently their chair of the board, but she's almost finished with that. Eric's very sad that she won't be chair anymore of the board because she does a great job. But I just
She's an awesome board member.
I remember going to the first night of the fight I went to, and they had a mama bear up there telling her story, and she came off the stage, and I went up to Eric, and I just met him, and I said, I'll give you whatever you want if you don't have anybody else go up and tell a story like that.
Yeah.
I said, I can't take
Very
another one.
emotional.
I said, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever you need. And I've built a really strong relationship with him, and I think there's very few. I've been on lots and lots of boards, too many to count, and the most frustrating thing is not seeing things happen and getting things done. And that's the great part about Roc Solid. I mean, you're out there, with the drill, with the hammer, and you see it, and it's there, and you see the kid's face when they come out, and they're, doing through all these terrible things, and they're just happy for a few minutes, or you see the ready bag sitting by someone's door. My older daughter was in the airport not too long ago, and she saw a family with a ready bag, in the airport. So I think it's hard to do, but it's really special when you can be a part and see the impact that the charitable giving is having on you. And Boys and Girls Club, going to an event there and just seeing these kids and how they get up and speak in front of a big group, and just how much they learn and grow there. I mean, it's just I enjoy things where we can see the results of our effort. So
I went to Boys and Girls Club for a few years, and I remember for me it was one of the safest places in my life at the time. I didn't have to worry about people picking on me. I didn't have to worry about getting in fights. I didn't have to worry about any of that stuff. I didn't have to worry about somebody trying to attack me. So I was able to just relax, be a kid. I learned a lot about all the rules of foosball and what's the hard spin and the soft spin. I mean, you had like 100 different rules. And sometimes our ping pong balls would be all dented, so we'd have to figure out a different thing to play with the ping pong balls and the paddles. But anyway, I loved going to Boys and Girls Club, and so for me, being able to support it is that's what I dreamed of. That's why I busted my hump for so long to get to this point, is so that I can help people that are in those situations and help people that need help. Because I know what it's like to need help. It's not a fun thing. It's it's not a good feeling. It's not something that people want to feel, or and in some cases, especially the children, they don't choose to feel. It's not their fault that they're in the situation they're in. So I'm not saying anything else is anyone's fault. I'm just saying in general, you want to try to help the people that you can the most. And when you have experience with it, it just makes it that much easier to be like, yeah, of course I want to help those people.
Well, a lot of what you do has been so, I think, purposeful with the setup of the company. I know that through AB Cares, AB Life, there's been different evolutions of it, but we just mentioned 2-3 charities, but there's so many other groups and organizations that have been supported. And I think the great part is a lot of times companies may at the corporate level support, but just the encouragement that you all give to all of us, all of the employees, everyone that works here, to get involved, and just being here and watching all the ready bag packing, like you were talking about, Brian, and our team going out to the different events. I think that's been a great experience for me, to be here again. That it's kind of, you don't just kind of talk about it. It's like get out and be involved and be a part of it. So it's
we want to push the charity too, like the 16,000 bags. When I first started talking about that, And Eric's talking a lot about it now too. But when I first started hiring, the people thought I was crazy. And I was like, no, we could do this. Like, this could happen. Like, we could get to the point of every single family. Like, why not? Why not go for it? Like, why would we hold ourselves back? And, you know, in the beginning, we were happy just to hit, you know, Hampton Roads, and Eric, I think, had a few other states at the point. But anyway, it's just, there's no reason not to do everything you can, see how far things can go, and see how many people you can help. I mean, it's just, and that's true for everyone that works here. That's why we do the volunteer time thing. You know, are you going to get a tremendous amount done in a one-day volunteer? Maybe not, but you can at least get a taste for it and see, hey, is this the group I want to support? Is this where I want to put my time? Is this where I want to put my money? Because anyone that works here has the ability to help other people on some level, even if it's just somebody on the side of the road who needs $5 to eat a hamburger. You know what I mean? Like, everybody can help somebody. And when you help people, you feel better. You feel good. It feels way better to help people. I mean, trust me, Brian and I know from experience, it feels way better to help people than to make more money. I'd much rather help people and have that feeling than I would making more money.
I can't let that one go, because so hot off the presses is our new Atlantic Bay internship flyer that we just got. And just when you talked about kind of helping people, I think that was something really great that we started here, was that intern program, and you both were so supportive of it. And I don't know, I'll pass to you all so you can look at it.
Well, you know, Joe Perry was an intern originally.
Oh, really?
That's how he started.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, 20 years ago.
Yeah. And I just, you know, one of the things that stuck with me, Brian, I don't know if you remember, if you want to kind of tell your side of it, but just when we had to make decisions kind of around, you know, COVID time or timing of where we going to have our intern program. And you clearly told all of us, like, you said, hey, look, this is more important to them than it really is about us and what we're, you know, of course we hope to get, you know, something from it, but, you know, from this help and support. But you really, you know, you stood the line of saying, hey, this is important. It's about the students and the kids that we'd be helping that may not have this opportunity. So I don't know if you want to kind of touch on that, but I thought that was great.
Yeah, I mean, I think any internship, there's more value in the person that's the intern than the company. The experience, not just for the resume building, but, you know, real work experience to try and put action to, you know, all the materials that they've read. I was probably honestly more passionate about it than anyone, just because I had kids getting to that.
Yeah.
You know, and I could see how they're really bright and they've really, you know, learned all these amazing things in school. But how do I turn that into action? Because if you can't apply information, it doesn't do any good. So, I mean, I think it's so important.
The other thing is trying to get to people early, because it's one thing when you get to them in their last 6 months of their degree or whatever, you know, they're pursuing, and they're like, oh, well, they're pretty much, the cake is baked to that point. You know, for most people, they're pretty much done with school or getting there. And as for us, we really want to catch people earlier on, because work looks, feels, and is nothing whatsoever like school. Like, school and work are not even, they're nothing alike.
Wait, there's a lot of parents that watch this show.
Yeah, so I think all the parents know.
School.
Yeah, school is nothing like work. So if people can get that experience as early as possible, like I started I was working with my mom, you know, packing boxes that went into vending machines when I was like 8. Maybe even a little bit younger. But anyway, I've been working basically up on something since I was, you know, double digits, you know, and sometimes, you know, like cleaning bathrooms when I was 12 at a stadium. I wasn't even supposed to be there. But anyway, work is really good for you. The more exposure you get, the better. The more you'll know yourself when you go out. So these internships are so important, and the hope from my standpoint is that the earlier the better. You know, the more that people can participate in things, sooner the better, the earlier the better, so that they have a clearer picture of what they're preparing for. Because I think college is supposed to prepare you for work, right? Or prepare you for life.
All your kids should have a dirty job, like a messy dirty job. Like mine was washing pots and pans at the hospital, and it was so not fun. The shift was from 10 to 7, and I would get there and I'd have all these egg pans and I'd have to scrape the eggs off and wash all these pots and pans, and I'd get them all shiny, have them all cleaned up. I'd get a break, and then they have all the lunch pots. I scrub all those, get all those done, and then have the dinner because they eat dinner at the hospital at 4:30.
Right.
And have all those done, and I leave at 7. I remember washing pots and pans on Christmas Day from 10 to 7 one day. I was like, this is really motivating. Because the other people that were working in the kitchen there were 50, 60 years old. They've been there for 20 or 30 years, So I think
and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a noble thing to do, but it's still, it's not fun to do, and it's not something that's going to probably get a lot of kids excited about work. But it definitely helps them be motivated. I had the same thing with cleaning bathrooms. Mine was a little bit worse because I had to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to do it because we were cleaning the bathrooms for stadiums for AAA or AA baseball stadiums.
That might be worse.
And you cannot imagine what people put
Stan
into the
wins.
sink. You cannot
Stan
imagine what
wins
people
job.
put into I found so many things I can't describe on a family show. It was a horrible thing, but I learned a lot, and I definitely figured out that I did not want to be in the janitorial business. So.
Oh man, we're coming close to time, and I want to ask a couple more. But I mean, what's next for Atlantic Bay? We're at 30. What's the next 30 look like?
It's a good question.
Well,
Hopefully a lot more of the same, but with adapting to the environment that we're moving into.
Yeah, I think we recently made some pretty significant goals, for the company as far as growth. As many of you know, Stan has been out with cancer, and he's back and healthy and cancer-free. So
Thank you
all.
Yay!
Thank all of you so much for your support and your prayers. I can't say enough, like the prayer part, especially just thank you so much. I experienced a miracle, and it's something that I don't know how, I don't have words to express, but just to say thank you for everyone that prayed for me and sent me good vibes or whatever your version of that is. So thank you.
It's fantastic.
That is awesome.
So I think with that good news, it's really kind of motivated me and Stan both to really start the growth track again. So we're excited about that. I think the other piece of that, obviously, we're looking at automation. We're looking at efficiencies. We're trying to drive loan costs down. But I think the other thing that we've, which has kind of built us, was to be focused on the purchase side. I think we would just want to make sure we're making refis easier for our team to do refis too. Because we've been having focused on the purchase side of the business, I think has really made us strong in up and down markets. But I think we can do that as well as work on retaining the refis and doing a better job of allowing our current salespeople to get the refis in. So I would say that's the one key difference. I think we're also starting to retain a lot more again and build our servicing portfolio. As we talked about previously, cash is king. And so we wanted to make sure that we built up a lot of cash during some difficult years. And so we did that, and now we feel like we've got plenty of cash and we have the ability to go in and start retaining some more servicing. So we're excited about that. And then we want to continue to grow our ancillary businesses, whether it's ABI or some of the other ventures that we have coming up that we're going to roll out. So overall growth is something that's important to me. I love growing.
You're either growing or dying. You're not doing both. So you're either moving forward and growing, or you're moving backwards and dying. There's no middle ground. There's no standing still. It doesn't really exist.
So we're excited about that, and that's whether that's 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, or 50 years. Who knows? I mean, I didn't think we'd be 30 years. So
Well, I'm glad we are.
Yeah.
I mean, I am too, and I think as long as we keep doing the right things and remember why we're here and keep living out our core values, and they're not something just on the wall, then we'll do it. And that's what I say to every onboarding class. I said, if you haven't read these core values and you don't believe in them and think you can live them out, then you need to look for somewhere else to work, because it can't be just something on the wall that someone hears once a year. It's got to be something that everyone believes in and lives out every day. So.
Yeah, the core values, I think are so important. Not only do they give you a North Star to look at in terms of the actions that you take every day, they remind you of your better self and why you're kind of doing what you're doing as well, and why you're willing to put in so much effort and work. I just think they make a big difference across a lot of spectrums that people don't really appreciate. And for us, we absolutely were not going to accept a group of core values that was some campaign that HR made up that you slap on a wall.
Right.
And you walk by and there's some big jet saying, teamwork is awesome or BS, whatever. You know what I mean? Like that. We didn't want that kind of crap. You want a real, program of values that really touch on who we are, what we do, and why we do it. And I think that's exactly what we have. And so we want to hold on to that and grow it. And we want to grow what we do with more people being involved. And also, technology is going to be a big part of the future. There's no way around that. I know people are very scared of that right now in a lot of different arenas. But I would just encourage you, and everyone's heard the funny, whatever, the whip and buggy, manufacturers were really scared when cars came along because, they didn't have anyone to, make the horses weren't going to be for travel anymore. There's always opportunity in every single one of these events, in every single mini industrial revolution. There's always been opportunity. That is no different with AI than with any other thing. And so we are going to be focused on that and making sure that we're using AI to be competitive, but that we're also using it morally and intentionally so that it improves our business and doesn't make us any less human, because it's a human business. We're helping humans get into houses where they can live and be with their families.
Be humans.
It's a human
That's
business.
And be humans.
And be
Yeah.
humans.
With maybe
And
some
live,
pets.
and live the life
With a
they want
dog.
to. So
With a dog.
and a dog, but it's a dog and human business. It's a human business. So anyway, we want. There's always going to be a lot of humans involved in making a mortgage. It's just a question of what they're doing might change a little bit when it comes to AI. But at the end of the day, there's always going to be a lot of people involved in the process.
Yeah. We usually end episodes asking you how you're going to lend it forward, but I want to end this one a little bit different. And I want to ask you guys more about the Atlantic Bay legacy. When people think about Atlantic Bay 20, 30 years from now, what do you want them to remember?
I want them to remember the good times, like the fact that they got to have a good place to work that they enjoyed. They were able to support their family, and they had a lot of fun. Fun's not easy to come by this day and age. We all are so busy and so focused on so many things. When you get a laugh, that's when you get to laugh at work and really mean it and enjoy it. That's pretty freaking cool. So to me, I want people to really have enjoyed working here, have enjoyed their lives here, and enjoy being part of the team and the family here.
Yeah, I would agree with Stan. I think that what we've said is if we take care of our team, then they're going to take care of the rest of the stuff. But also, as we talked about earlier, being able to get back and help people is so impactful in lives. And, I would like for them to remember the hundreds of thousands of people that we put in homes. Mm-hmm. Because the reality of it is, it may sound corny, but homeownership is the American dream. Right? It just doesn't happen everywhere else. And it's so powerful, and that's one of the things that, there's a lot of concerns about this next generation is how can they afford homes, because that's part of the American dream. Mm-hmm. And, I just think that sometimes our people who have been here for a long time don't step back and say, wow, look what I've done. Look how many people I've gotten into a home where they can, grow a family and, build a life. Yeah. And I think it's important for them to step back and think about that and the journey that they've been on. So.
As a group of people, we have an impact on thousands and thousands and thousands of people every month that we don't know, that we won't speak to, that Brian and I won't talk to, that you guys won't talk to. But at the end of the day, as a company, we are able to impact thousands and thousands and thousands of people's lives every year. And that's not the same everywhere. Like, you don't get that in every business or every job. So it's something to really cherish and enjoy.
It's fantastic.
It's awesome.
Thanks, guys.
I wish I had champagne or something.
There you go. Right there.
Toast with water.
Cheers.
Happy anniversary,
Cheers.
guys.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Yeah, here's to 30 more years.
Yeah. Cheers.
Thanks again for tuning into today's episode of the Lending Forward podcast. Be sure to subscribe to our channel, follow us on Instagram @LendingForward, on YouTube, and LinkedIn. Catch us every other Thursday with a brand new episode, and go lend something forward today. Atlantic Bay Mortgage Group, LLC, NMLS number 72043, NMLSconsumeraccess.org is an equal opportunity lender and employer. Located at 600 Lynn Haven Parkway, Suite 100, Virginia Beach, Virginia 23452.